Join me for art journaling in the handmade gel print art journal we made in the last video. Today I'm using the Tonic Studios Patterns and Prints Stamp and Die Bundle, and I'll show you some handmade stamps you can make with any dies that you have on hand. This is the Tonic Studios Patterns and Prints Bundle. So you can see there's loads of dies, lots of stamps, and then I also wanted to turn some of these dies into stamps. So I've die cut some sticky back fun foam and I've just adhered it to some chipboard. You could use cardstock or vellum. What I was after was something a little pliable that you could bend. And I'll show you why that is as we get into the art journaling process. You can see that I've already used these stamps quite a bit. They're well loved, and there's some beautiful scripts and some text, some coffee stamps and grids, all sorts of stuff. This is the handmade gel print journal that I made in my previous video. I'll link that in the top right hand corner if you want to check that out. And I just sat down and did some gel printing one night. I find it to be really relaxing, and I was just trying some different stuff. A lot of these came out pretty plain, which is why I thought, with plain meaning that there's not a lot of texture. This one has great texture on the left, which is why I thought it would be good for an art journal because you can keep adding layers to it. So this is the 2-page spread we're going to do today. As always, all of the products will be linked in the description down below, and while you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. So I'm going to grab 2 of the dies. I'm going to use You're Amazing because I think it's a really great statement piece, and then over on the right hand side, we'll have some sub-sentiments over there. I have a stack of gel prints here, and I have them both on regular paper and then also on some deli paper. Deli paper is what you would use to wrap up your sandwiches. It's a tissue paper that's a little bit waxy on one side, and it's great for cleaning off your brayer, which creates these quote-unquote waste sheets, which can be used for collage papers and as base layers for future gel prints. So I love to keep those. I'm looking for coordinating and contrasting colors. Look at the beautiful metallic on this deli paper. I love it. We'll use that for our large sentiment. I've die cut that and used my scrapbook.com magic mat, and if you bend the mat, your die cuts will pop right off. That's one of the things that I love about it. Sometimes it's hard to get those die cuts off, but it's super easy to just bend the mat and they'll pop right off. So I'm going to use the negative piece of this rather than the positive letters, and I'm just going to go ahead and tear this to create a sentiment strip with the negative cutouts. I think this adds a bolder statement than just having the letters there. And we'll go ahead and get this glued down. You can see I've cut Amazing out of that other piece of paper that we picked. And I have the script stamp set here from the Patterns and Prints stamp set. And I'm just using the VersaFine Clair gray ink in order to stamp this. This particular gel print is made up of a matte gray and a metallic pink acrylic paint, and so I thought the gray on the text would lend itself nicely for this. Again, these are my handmade stamps that I made with the Tonic Studios Patterns and Prints die set, and I've inked it up with StazOn pigment ink. Now you can see that some of the paint that was already on these handmade stamps transferred to my print. That's totally okay. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind the mix of colors. You can also see that I'm making my white ink pad a little bit dirty. I'm just going to go ahead and clean the ink pad off with a microfiber cloth when I'm done. StazOn pigment ink dries much faster than other white pigment inks that I've used, and so I love it for that reason because I tend to smear the other inks. I'll move back to VersaFine Clair pigment ink, and this is in Twilight, and the gray that I used was called Morning Mist. Now here's where I was saying I like the surface that I adhere these handmade stamps to be flexible so that I can just partially stamp it. I don't want to have the full stamped image. I like to have just the partial stamping. I think that looks a little more organic, less contrived, and so if you put it on a flexible base, then you'll be able to just put down part of it, which I really like. I felt like I needed more contrast with the Amazing sentiment, and so I've just put that directly onto the stamp pad to get that nice and dark, and you can see that it's a lot more legible. I use two different glues typically when I'm adhering the deli paper. This is a gel medium with a matte finish. I also really like the Nuvo glue pen, the large one, so it's the super large tip. That also works really well. You could also try glue sticks just from your kids' school box. Those work really well too. I just find those to be the three easiest things to use to adhere: tissue paper, deli paper, those kind of things. So I wanted my amazing sentiment to stand out a little bit more. So I'm just tearing a piece of deli paper. I'm going to overlap that with the Your, and that just helps that amazing stand out even a little bit more because of that dark blue gel print that we had there. It was a little hard to see over those areas. So again, I'll put the gel medium directly onto the art journal, then put the deli paper on top, and then I'll put another thin layer of the gel medium on there. Now because that's sticky, I can stick the amazing sentiment straight onto that, and I'll put another coat on top of that. Super easy, not fiddly at all, goes down really quick. The nice thing about the deli paper is it's a little bit transparent, especially when you put the gel medium on, so you can see those layers underneath, so it gives you a nice layering effect. Instead of putting this clear stamp on a block, I'm just going to hold it in my hands. It's sticky enough to stick to my fingers, and this is going to help me get a partial stamping. If I put the stamp on a block like I did with the coffee stain, then typically I'm going to get the full image stamped down. If your photopolymer stamps have lost their tackiness and they're not sticking to your fingers, just wash them with some warm soapy water and it'll bring back that tack. So here you can see I've added some gesso to the background, a little more stamping. It was just looking so teal and just monochromatic. I wanted to have some white, a little more brightness, some difference in color, some contrast. And I wanted that white background to be able to Zentangle on so that you'd see the patterns better. This part right here looks okay. This pattern that I'm doing is called Muka. I'll also add some sedgeling. And in just a few seconds, you're going to see, I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to show you just this little bit of cluster that I do. And then, you guys, things just go sideways. I don't know when to stop. The Zentangle gets out of control. I start adding more paint, more patterns because I just don't like what I'm doing. And I end up just totally not liking the page at all. And then I have to figure out what I want to do. And so I'm going to show you what I do to correct it. You know, we always say there's no mistakes in Zentangle, but the reality is sometimes you're going to create a art journal page or card or whatever, and you're just not going to like it. You know, maybe it's totally fine, but you can't stand it. Like, I didn't even want to look at it. I didn't want to take pictures of this 2-page spreads. I certainly didn't want to have it for my blog post. Here it is. I mean, it looks like I threw up Zentangle and gel printing on this page. Like, it's a disaster. I did not like it at all. So we're going to try and cover it up. So here I have a 5x7 gel plate. I've put white paint on it and used one of those handmade stamps to just add a little bit of texture. And here I am thinking I'm going to just cover this up. Now, I left the corner with the Zentangle kind of open because I didn't want to completely cover that. And look at it. It just went from bad to worse. So then I'm like, okay, well, I like this white that's still on here. I add some of this metallic green, which is the same color that is being used for the sentiment, the Your sentiment. And I'm going to add a little texture. There's way too much paint on the plate, which I recognize. I try and take some off, but not enough. And yeah, I'm making it even worse. I mean, the good thing is I covered up the majority of that horrible Zentangle that was going on. But I'm just so gutted about this gel print page in this journal, in this 2-page spread. It'd be one thing if I could just like focus on the one page, but you can't. You open up your journal and you see both pages. You want both pages to look nice. So I'm just going to take this print on a piece of paper, and I use those same colors that were already on this page. It was a metallic orchid color and then that metallic teal color. And I'm sorry that I'm off the screen a little bit. I totally forgot that I had zoomed in for some of the Zentangle bit, and also that my lighting is a little bit funky in this. I had my shutters open and I forgot to recalibrate the white balance. So sorry about that, but I still think you can see what's going on just fine. So I like this page a lot more, but I need this Zentangle motif we have going on here showing because it spills over onto the other page. So I just tore around that. So I am going to put this huge piece of paper in here with the gel medium. Now, I don't know if you guys watch Ink Masters. We watched quite a few episodes of Ink Masters during COVID, and I don't know, this could totally be a tattoo cover-up going on here. Is it a huge black block of tattoo cover-up? Or is it a smart collage? I'm going to go with smart collage, you guys, because it makes me feel way better than that Zentangle vomit that we had on there before. I didn't like it at all, and I kind of like how it's torn out around the Zentangle. So yeah, I'm going with it, but I'm going to add a little bit more to this page because right now we don't have any additional stamping. So we have the lift coffee rings here, the coffee stains, and you can see that that sticks to my fingers just fine. And I'm going to do some partial stamping with that and some second and third generation stamping because a little bit of that ink goes a long way. So we have a variance in the depth of color that we have with those coffee stains. And I decided we need to bring some of the text from the left page over to the right page. So we'll add a little bit of that with the gray ink. And it's just going to help to tie these two pages together because clearly I didn't use the same colors, right? On the right-hand side, I have an orchid purple. On the left-hand side, I have more of a warmer pink with a warm gray. So I needed the elements from the stamps and the dies to tie these two pages together. As I'm doing this, I'm thinking about what kind of sentiments I want to add. I grabbed the smaller grid stamp and I'm just adding some of that with white StazOn pigment ink to both of the pages again to tie those together. And I'm going to show you some close-ups of these textures and patterns. So I've added never give up, the journey is the destination, see possibility everywhere, which I think is perfect for this art journaling session because I was definitely feeling defeated by that second page, and normally I feel really inspired with Zentangle, but not the case this time around. I had a lot of fun with the Tonic Studios Patterns and Print Stamp and Die Bundle, and there's a giveaway going on the blog hop. So I will link my blog post to the upper right-hand corner and in the description down below. Be sure to check that out for instructions on how to enter the giveaway. I hope this inspires you to not give up on your artwork and to create a handmade gel print journal and do some mixed media. Try out some different techniques and definitely push through when you get stuck or you don't like something. If you feel inspired, be sure to give me a like and subscribe down below. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you soon with more inspiration.